I started out in radio pretty much straight from university, and I went to a little station called Viking FM in Hull, and I was in the creative team there. And it was actually in the days when radio was selling against press. It was really funny because the clients would say, you know, I'm not going on the radio, you need to see my product in the paper. And we'd say something like, well, you can turn the page, but you can't turn your ears off. So you should try radio because, you know, it might work. And we had a few clients starting out, and it did, it worked. You know, after working in radio for a few years, you know, the internet kind of started as a place to have good ideas. And in the day, we were talking about audio and how, you know, there needs to be a lot more audio in digital. And the kind of stuff that we did do, it wasn't a lot, was very powerful. And I think as, you know, working with the digital formats became, you know, more and more available in terms of functionalities. You know, we tried to include audio as much as we could, but it kind of got forgotten. And even today, I don't think there's much audio in you know, internet work. And it was really interesting, again, in the early days of mobile, that there were loads of guys from radio that had kind of ended up working in mobile. And I think many elements of the channel, if it is still a channel, are relative to radio, and experience in radio works very well. I think any new medium tends to borrow from mediums that come before, and I think, you know, until you learn the format of that medium, you're inevitably going to be borrowing stuff. But once you get the format, you can really begin to use it to tell, you know, stories. And one element of mobile that's kind of unique is the speaker. But the reason it's unique is because it's in a device with a GPS chip and everything else. Now, radio's got a speaker, TV's got a speaker. So obviously mobile has a load of other sensors, like the camera, the GPS chip, the microphone. And you can think of these in your palette in terms of, you know, creating stuff. You know, we used to take radio work or TV work, put it together and try and do it in a mobile format. And that didn't work at all. But then when we started to think about it from this format perspective, creatively, things did start to work. People started to love it. And the first case was for Fanta in 2007, 2008. It was called the Stealth Sound System. And the brief was more play. Fanta's all about play. And it was bring that to life on mobile. But also the insights were that kids think that parents are the enemies of play. And kids also like to speak in code languages. And then we found out about, you know, the audio devices that businesses were using to disrupt teenagers, these horrible sonic alarms. We thought, wow, imagine if we could turn that on its head and make these ringtones into sounds that actually only kids could hear. And then we went further and made an app full of a language like go away, come here, good, bad, yes, no, that only children could hear. But the whole work was based on the fact the mobile has a speaker. So it was an audio piece. And in fact, Coke liked it so much, and so did the customers, that they put it on Piccadilly Circus on the big digital billboards there, which obviously are famous, and it was still the only mobile campaign to go on that site. So, you know, with radio, you've got a central broadcasting hub, and you've got lots of people with their devices in their homes, cars, and everywhere else. I think with mobile, it's kind of similar in that, you know, the ideal campaign set up almost like a home for your work. So you set up your mobile stall of apps, sites, messaging, audio, all these bits and bobs, and then you invite engagement. And then when people engage with you, you know, rather than pushing to them, you need to be ready to respond in ways that they'll love and, you know, be useful and entertaining. You know, one thing that's incredibly difficult and interesting to crack is the personal element. So, you know, mobile's so personal, and we all say we understand how personal it is, but there's not many people that really have thought about how personal it is. I mean, it's almost part of our physiological makeup. You know, the human condition is, to a certain extent, you know, mobile now. This 3D binaural sound, you know, with games like Papa Songray, which is a game purely driven by audio, and you know, you can walk around and with the headphones on from mobile devices, you know, you can make sound appear from anywhere. And I don't think that people are really using that enough. and picking up on that. Within things like banners today on mobile, they expand, you get all sorts of functionality, you know, iAds, and you can play games in banners, order products, you can do all sorts of things. And yet still audio's kind of, you know, not really being given a lot of time. We recently did an app for the Gadget Show for Channel 5, which listened. And basically, it was the world's first 360-degree video live promotional broadcast, right? The Gadget Show redressed their set in a 360-degree format, and then they broadcast this promotion, and it said, turn on your iPad now, and it played some audio cues which the iPad was listening to. And basically when the iPad heard the audio cues, it would then play and open up this 360-degree environment. And the presenters, if you were watching on the TV, would walk off screen. But then if you have your iPad, you could, you know, follow them off screen and see what was going on. And there was extra scripting, you know, scripting, shooting, producing, editing for 360-degree with mobile. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this. I mean, dual screening is a big thing, but a great way for mobile to connect with broadcast is for the mobile to listen and then respond.